Oh, it's a miracle that we ever get one single one of these episodes done. I'm Billy Business. We have Ron Swallow and Greer for Reboot It Presents Movie Mashup. If you're new, where the heck you been? Here's how the show works. We have a list of franchises. We have a list of genres. We have our great random selector tool. We will pick one of each at complete random, and then we have 30 minutes in which to create an epic. It will either be that of Christopher Nolan or that of Uwe Boll. Who knows? It all depends on how the cards are dealt. Gentlemen, we could BS around, but I kind of want to just get into it. Are you guys amped and ready just to get into this?
Let's do it.
I'm ready to make a very good or a very bad movie. Let's go.
All right. Today, our franchise will be, it's picking Shrek. This is the animated kids franchise Shrek, and the genre will be, oh boy, this will be a time travel comedy. Shrek as a time travel comedy. That's all that there is to it. There's not a whole lot of rules, except that we have to come up with the plot in 30 minutes, starting right now.
Okay, does anybody know anything about Shrek as far as like how it ended?
I only saw the first one. But it's time travel, so we can undo anything that came, right?
All right, yeah, I'm not gonna. That's one thing I'm not gonna do is get hung up on Shrek canon.
Shrek lore.
We don't need to worry about this because we can make it be anything. Because what is time travel in Shrek Land? Like, what's in the past of Shrek Land? Because it's not Earth,
right?
It's literally a made up land, so we can make
like storybook land. Right? Yeah. It's like everything in the Shrek movies is just from not Hansel and Gretel, the kid, yeah, but the Grimm's brothers, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, so just to cut to the chase, are we having some version of Shrek and Donkey and them as whatever characters we want them to be, but them, because it is fucking Shrek, we're selling Shrek. So yeah. Shrek and Donkey defending the Grimm brothers from harm so that they can write the stories so that the world can exist. So that's, you know.
Yeah, that's great.
Sure. But here's my question.
Dinosaurs.
Yes, dinosaurs are always on the table. There's dragons in Shrek. That exists. I guess the question, and I guess we'll have to rely on Ron, because Ron, you have statistically seen the most Shrek out of the three of us. What time period does Shrek like? That's the thing. It's like, are they time traveling back like 5 years to the you know? Like, is it a big enough jump, or do you do like Jason X, where you send Shrek and Donkey into 2255 Blade Runner? Shrek and Blade Runner sounds kind of fun.
I think that's hard, dog.
Here's what we do. Okay, so we make the Shrek bad guy the same prince who's been sort of the bad guy the entire time. Farquaad. But he's the only in that land. He's not really a fairy tale, right? We don't know if he's a fairy tale. Like he could just be a prince in that land. But the fairy tales have come to life, and maybe he hates the fairy tales. And so he kind of figures out, oh, well, what the Grimm's real power was that his stories came to life. And the only reason we have all of these dragons and donkeys and annoying goblins and dwarves and other weird stuff that we have in the land is because of Grimm. So then he's like, comes up with a way to go back in time. Perhaps he has a wizard. We can just say that he's had a wizard the whole time that he never used. I don't know. That's fine. And the wizard sends him back in time. And he goes to try to talk Grimm out of writing and being creative. Like, maybe he tries to get him a corporate job.
If you do that, you have to switch from like, not only does he have to go back in time, they have to like jump to a different multiverse where like the Grimm is real people, right?
Yeah, but I think that's this land. Like maybe Grimm lived in the land, and as he wrote, it brought things to life in the land. That's what I'm thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's almost like did you ever see that movie Big Fish with Tim Burton?
Yeah.
Or that Tim Burton Big Fish movie where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, Ewan McGregor's telling all these like crazy stories and everything is like completely outlandish, and then that, you know, I think it's Billy Crudup goes to the funeral of his dad and finds out that it's like these stories were true, they were just exaggerated, you know. Like I almost I don't want to go, I don't want to know Andrew, I'm just thinking out loud, but I'm just like,
No, let's
it
roll
would
with
be
it.
kind of interesting to see like what would the live action Shrek be if you did like a Nolan version of Shrek, not in tone, but in like, what does a real Shrek like? What were the Shrek movies based on? You light year it, you know?
Okay. To yes and that, and to go with also what everybody's saying. What if we find just different? Okay, this is highfalutin, but here it goes. The Grimm fairy tales are on the verge of dying all the time. There's been hundreds of years in between them being super popular, and then next thing you know, we do a movie adaptation, and then everybody knows Hansel and Gretel again. They're really into it again. It becomes part of the zeitgeist. It's on the verge of dying out all the time. And I'm just thinking, as time goes forward in time, there's going to be multiple times in time that stuff is being about to go away. And what if the
Okay.
Shrek people had to jump to those times and resurrect the stuff to keep that world alive or to keep those whatevers? You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just throwing it out there. Just some sort of time travel mechanic that will make us be able to do all the types of movies we want to do. We could do an
Okay,
old ancient night
So
one.
I
We could do
say,
Blade
if you
Runner.
wanna be-
We can, you know.
If you want to be super
Yeah.
meta, if you want to be super meta, then his girlfriend, his wife, and kids. I think he has kids eventually. They start disappearing for some reason, and he realized that people have forgotten the Shrek story.
I almost wonder, Ed, if you simplify it, like, yeah, I had the same thought as you, Ron, where it's like you do the Back to the Future thing where like people start disappearing, but I
Yeah.
wonder if you just go like once, like into the future one time, because it's like my only thought is like if you're constantly going to the future to remind people of your stories,
Right.
like that's all you do, like that
Right.
is your
That's
life.
your whole life.
But if you
Yes.
only
Yeah.
have to, like, if you simplify it to one mission, like
Mhm.
we found out somehow that in 2255, no one's ever heard of us, you know, which is also hilarious, like speaks to the ego of those characters.
Yeah.
Well, just like going to a place and like reestablishing your legend or whatever, because it's like, and maybe in the meta part, Ron, could be that this Shrek person that's going to the future or whatever to do this mission to like, yeah, like you said, Billy, to Buzz Lightyear it. He can reference the Shrek cartoons that were made off of him back in the days, or made off his dad, or whatever the Shrek way we can, you know, explain what Shreks
Oh,
are,
that's super
the history of
interesting.
it.
If the Shrek movies that we know are a device of the real Shrek, who
Mhm.
is like keeping the stories alive, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Shrek really is just like, I don't know, he looks more like a really big green Danny DeVito, you know, like it's like a real person.
You just
That
sold
was
me
a
on this. If
real
we're actually
ogre.
having Danny DeVito be painted green playing Shrek, you kidding me? I'm in.
I think he'd be a great old man Shrek.
It's like, well, why don't you talk with like a Scottish accent? It's like, that's for the movies, kid, or whatever. It's just,
We just knew that kids would laugh more at this accent, so now
Accents were funny.
like, oh, I'm Scottish, whatever, kid.
that's perfect.
But that's where you could do a cutaway gag. Is like, kid, I've been every like accent since the beginning of time. And then you go way back in time to like a Shakespearean play of Shrek, you know?
See,
Like you just do a Family Guy cutaway, you know?
Yeah, that is interesting. And like it's almost like those other fairy tale people glom onto him to like keep part of the zeitgeist. Like Shrek always pops up.
Yeah.
It's not like he's a slave to their world or whatever. He's the one who has the magical swamp that they like retreat to when man is messing their stuff up. You know what I mean?
Okay,
He's like the
so
linchpin
I
of
have
it.
an idea. I have an idea. It's just so you can put like an antagonist to this.
Hmm.
What if the person who is getting rid of all of these fairy tales so that in the future no one knows it, he himself was a fairy tale that no one remembers. And so he's like, if no one's going to remember me and if Shrek won't include me in his little thing, then there's going to be no fairy tales at all. You almost do
And it's-
Gore the God Butcher, but for fairy tales, you know?
And it's
Oh,
for some
snap.
reason it's a guy who looks a lot like Elon Musk.
It's trying to, and the first thing he does is acquire a bird and eat it. And it's like, is that a Twitter joke? Is that a Twitter joke? But yeah, no, I think that's totally cool. I have nothing to say about that. I think that sort of the evil, like stomp out that magical crap. You know, I can get behind that. I would love to explore a character like that. It's just like magic. And magic
Yeah, Ed
holds
loves
up.
to stomp out fun. We
Dude,
get it,
dude.
Ed. We get
The
it.
villain
Stomp out
is
fun.
very compelling because
No, he is.
fantasy and to a certain extent delusion can mess up progress. And I think he's just a zealot on that. He thinks that all this hoity-toity, like rabbits talk and have a little family, that's ruining real progression in real life. Scientific method.
Ron, I don't know if you were joking or not, but I actually think that a CEO of technology is exactly how this would happen. Is that
I'm 100% thinking that.
Yeah, because it's like kids are now, they're not reading books and watching movies, they're playing on their phones and whatnot. So it's, you know, like I think that's genius, is that this guy, you find out like first of all, maybe the whole movie we're going and we're thinking this antagonist is just a CEO who wants to get rid of out with the old, every kid should be playing with my iPad or whatever it is. Then it's kind of your like second act twist where you find out this guy's not just like the CEO. This guy is a fairy tale who was rejected or who was not remembered, and now he's getting his revenge. I think that's kind of a cool twist.
Yep.
Now the question is, we have kind of a cool setup. We have a cool villain with a cool motive, but how exactly does the time travel aspect figure into this?
Well, first off, the time traveling comes from whenever Donkey farts. He finds out that when he farts, a giant portal opens and you can go through it. It smells really bad, but you could go to the past.
It's like Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
Every time
I say he like okay, this is what it is. There's like a MacGuffin that they have to get, right? And the MacGuffin is the thing that helps them time travel. They hear about it from some fairy tale. They have to get to this clock that helps people time travel. You just wind the things backward or forward and you go where you need to go, right? But Donkey accidentally eats it, and that's where the farting comes in.
You're really going for this fart thing. Sure.
I mean, we don't have to do that. I just think it's funny.
I think of any franchise you're gonna do, Shrek is like the least explanation for time travel that you need. They have a fairy that just sends them. It just like you don't even need to even think about it. My question more is like how, you know, okay, so let's say Shrek has his family and they start disappearing. I still like that, even though it's cliche, whatever. I like it. What would make Shrek think I need to go into the future to get them back?
That's what I think. I think we can do something interesting around this whole time travel jazz, because follow me now. What if Shrek is already in the future and the thing that his kids have evaporated because somehow we do kind of that Wonder Woman thing we did where like you kind of forgot about yourself and he's just like a big green factory worker and he sucks and he doesn't know that he's a great hero anymore or something like that.
What if he's not green? What if he like becomes more human and he's just a big guy, and then as he becomes more like aware or remembers, that's when he starts turning back into what he was.
Oh, that's ill. What if Donkey died and now Donkey's something else? So he like can't remember. Like when Donkey comes and tries to talk some sense into him, he's like,
It's
It's
his
just
pet cat.
mounted on his wall.
Just a donkey head on his wall. Oh my god.
Yeah, just like a taxidermy.
And an actual
SHREK.
taxidermy turkey.
And everyone's like,
Donkey.
why do you have like there's deer and fish, but I've never seen a donkey on someone's wall. He's like, I don't know. I've just always
got it
had
from a
it. And I
family
don't know where
member.
he's like,
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from, but I've just always had it.
And then starts talking, and he's like, "Oh man, I'm going nuts!" So, and then he starts slipping into a Scottish accent. I'm liking this even better. I know people are raging at their devices right now, but
I don't know. Is anyone like really dead set? Like, this is not the Shrek that I know.
That's hilarious. This
Does
is
that person exist?
I hope
Dude.
not.
Dude, somebody once told me these
I was
jerks
just
were
thinking
gonna
the trailer.
roll me.
The trailer for this movie has to have like the really emo, dark version of All Star. You know,
Yeah.
Somebody once told me the
somebody
world-
once told me. As he's like, you see him like working at the factory. He comes home with the beer.
Big
The
lunchbox.
world is gonna roll me.
He sits down on his couch to watch some football. I ate the
Sharpest tool in the shed.
He opens up the fridge. It has no beer or food in there.
And his wife doesn't like him. She was looking kind of dumb with a finger.
Just like, what happened to my life? That is kind of that is pretty awesome. Is Shrek is now is now just a regular ass guy because he's forgotten all this stuff.
Okay, so
That's
great.
where he can. Sorry, go ahead, Ron.
Well, how does he start to remember this stuff? Like, well, how?
Dude,
what?
I think Donkey
what kicks
tells
it back in?
I think Donkey tells him because he's a big hulking guy. Why can't he like work on a farm and have like livestock and stuff? And then Donkey tells him whatever. It doesn't have to be that difficult. You know what I mean?
Dude, okay, yes. I think you're right. I think he's like a farmer, and I think Donkey has just become a non-talking donkey to him until he like gets maybe like one word out, and he's like, "Did I hear that?" You know.
And he's a little drunk,
That's when we
so he
can
thinks
do-
maybe he's drunk. The first one.
So that's when we can do like what if we're thinking about this the wrong way? We're thinking about Shrek time traveling, but what if it's the opposite? What if it's like Puss in Boots or the Gingerbread Man time travels to our Shrek and is like, hey, you messed up somewhere. You need to like fix this, or else none of us are going to exist anywhere on the timeline. I just don't think you need to harp on the time travel part of it too much.
You're right.
know?
So okay,
You're right.
but in
And-
this
and then
world,
he's in the future.
yeah. But he's
And
getting
how do
more
we find
Shrek
out-
powers in the future, though. I think the
For
thing
sure.
that this whole thing has been missing forever, seeing as how it was in a unified, uniform universe where everything was animated just like him. Now we see this Shrek stuff happening in basically a naturalistic world or a Pixar-ish world. You know what I mean? And he starts to get green and get his powers back, and Donkey starts talking more. And maybe, I'm telling you, what if the mean guy across the street or down the road or mean lady is that dragon? And you know what I'm saying? Like just all the magic comes back. And that's the whole point of this. Whatever happens, whatever fairy or whatever comes and tells Peter Pan that he's really Peter Pan, which is what we're basically biting off for this whole thing. Whatever mechanism that happens, it's about gathering up the forces, the donkeys, the dragon, the this and that to form the old Shrek gang and defeat that guy, the anti-magic guy, Ed Greer, asshole. You know what I'm saying? that hates magic and hates fantasy. You have to bring fantasy into this techno world. Thusly, that is future. It's magic in the future, which is now.
And I think what happened. Go ahead.
No,
Go
well,
ahead,
I was
Ron.
thinking like a great way to do that. Well, I think an important thing to do, especially because it's me and I love this type of thing, and because I think it'd be interesting to be like a story where instead of defeating the bad guy, you get the bad guy to maybe be part of the whole thing and realize that
I was
is
literally just
important.
about I was
Okay.
literally just about to say the exact same thing. I was like, I think at the end you mend the fence with this guy. get his story told, but also like you kind of have to like, you can't bury your head in the sand. We can't just get rid of technology, but we can use his technology to even further our stories to get out there. I think that's I think
and
you're
talk
right.
about how important creativity is in technology. I mean, that's a thing that's very, like, not to get super serious, because I know this is our fun, silly joke show, but like, I think it's very important to understand that without creativity, technology that exists today would not exist at all. You have to be able to think outside of a box and be smart at the same time. Einstein was interesting not just because he understood math and science and physics, but because he came up with weird ass concepts that don't make sense in most people's brains. But in his, because he also understood the math, he got this whole look at a subject that you would never get without creativity. And I think that's important.
I actually think I was listening to that and then marrying that with something Ed said earlier. It's like, what if like your third act, your final battle is like this technology guy has created almost like a transformer, like a robot to take out SHREK. And that's when SHREK realizes that his neighbor is actually that dragon that he befriends at the end of the first SHREK movie. So he uses his dragon to defeat the robot. You have kind of like the nature versus, machines at the end. And that's when the prince, or I don't know if he's a prince, whoever he is, realizes, I don't know, we could probably pick a story like what's the one with the cobbler, the shoe cobbler? That's what I was picturing in my head. It's like, he's just that stupid shoe cobbler no one remembers.
He's a tinkerer. He's a guy who invents stuff. And
what's
his
that story
though?
What's the fairy tale?
The cobbler guy. I don't remember any. I remember one where this cobbler,
the elves and the shoemaker.
He was needing hella help. And he like would wake up and his work would be done and the elves had done it.
Dude, the elves, his elves now are just like working in his factory to help.
They're corporate drones.
Yes, it's the elf of the shoemaker.
Yeah,
and his last name could be Schumacher the whole time.
Yeah,
and then you find out he's the shoemaker from that story that no one freaking remembers. That I just had to Google right
to
now.
Ron's point, like I said, my only balk at this whole like creativity, but the thing is, you're right that a lot of technology is wielded by people who aren't that creative. That is definitely dead on. And I think this guy realizing after all this technological rant that he is a magical character and getting him to embrace his own magic, you know what I'm saying? That's like another metaphor to throw in there. It's like you got to embrace like what's magic about you, even though you're just a bunch of chemicals sloshing around and electrical impulses, you are also magic. If you embrace that, you get a whole nother part of your personality. You get a whole nother part of your power as a person in this universe. So yeah, that's pretty good themes to be wrapping this up in.
I also just think there's something to me that's like very macabre hilarious about a future gingerbread man and a future Puss in Boots that are all like the gingerbread man's like half-eaten head coming back. It's like, you gotta fix the timeline, man. Just the visual. It's just like
the Puss in Boots doesn't have boots. The hat is.
Well, dude, I think though that's the thing. I don't think it has to be them coming back. I think this SHREK, who has let himself go to seed and become a human and stuff, all his homies have had similar messed up fate. So like, yeah, the gingerbread man is like a regular dude in 2024, laying on the ground somewhere.
Well, we have to get time travel in there, so someone's got to come from.
Well, I think somebody comes from the proper fantasy time to tell this fool about all this fantasy crap. We got to pick somebody.
Time travel is into the future.
That's the direction I think.
But that doesn't make it any sense. Like, how is he going to know that things go wrong if he's in the past? That doesn't make any sense.
Some magic crap happens. I don't know. You're so magical.
No, I don't. I'm going to have to disagree with this.
I don't know.
I do. It's going to have to be again, from the future.
I just kind of think there is something funny about a literal half-eaten gingerbread man. Like, I've seen some shit, man. Like the visual of it is just too funny. Like, he's like, I'm the last remaining magical thing, and I'm not gonna last very long. Like maybe that's where you say like Puss in Boots literally just got put down at the vet last week. Like he's just a cat.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Just some vestige of the magic or whatever. And again, it's about time travel. Yeah, but this is also like the Shrek concept in the future already and stuff. That was my only argument. You know what I'm saying? That we're qualifying it already because it ain't in
Just
medieval
let
times.
me have my Vietnam vet gingerbread man.
No, whatever way you want to throw that in there, that is a great image. I even want to get. I mean, Puss in Boots as an old cat would be even still funny. You know what I mean? Even if he's not dead, he's like, you know, how old cats try to do that young cat stuff and they can't quite do it anymore. You know what I mean? So like Puss in Boots being like an old decrepit Dark Knight Returns cat. He's like
he keeps trying to jump on things and then just misses.
Actually, you know what'd be really interesting is if Puss in Boots is with Gingerbread Man, and as they're talking, Puss like slowly, like you start to
Turns
see
into a
it
regular
turn
cat.
into an actual regular cat, like a
and that
regular
shows
old
the
cat.
magic going away. Okay, see, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's tight. That's why I was saying what I was saying. It's like that to
But
me
that's
is
what I'm
tight.
saying.
But
Like
we're losing it.
it's the marriage of both. Like we can actually watch it happen if they're
Yeah.
like, we are the last
like
two magic things happening. Never mind, I'm the last two magic things still
Right.
happening.
And his
Yeah.
quest is to get everybody. Like if he defeats this guy who's crushing all of that, then we can get everybody back. It's like
By the way,
in game Shrek in game.
Puss in Boots turns into a regular cat as they're speaking, and as the gingerbread man's like, "You've got to do this," the cat eats the cookie, and and runs away.
And yeah, that's why Shrek is like flounders for part of the movie because he doesn't know the play. That's great, dude. That's great.
Oh. All right.
Okay.
Well, we have exactly 5 minutes left on the clock. My question is, do we even ask Mike Myers to do this? Or are we pretty set? Like, is Danny DeVito capable of this sort of action in 2022 or 2024?
I think we should think outside the box. Think about people who are like trying to get that last role to like, or people who are like, hey, Bryan Cranston, Steven Seagal, let's get nuts.
I almost wonder if you do. What if I could see Mickey Rourke as Shrek?
You know what I mean?
That's
like just
wonderful.
somebody,
I love
somebody, yeah, just somebody like lightweight, monstrous, like if
Just some
weirdo. I would say Ron Perlman, but he's done it too much. He's done it too much.
Who was the Ron Perlman, the Dollar Tree Ron Perlman that was in like Avatar? Do you know who I'm talking about? It's like you're like, that's not Ron Perlman, but you're kind of Ron Perlman. What was his name? Oh, now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Do you mean the evil sergeant guy? I don't think he looks like Ron Perlman, the dude from Don't Breathe, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying he's like a dead ringer. I'm saying like if there's a casting
bearing.
call put out, they're both in the room. You know,
yeah. That bearing, yeah.
That's
definitely,
fun.
and at that
it.
age, muscular and stuff, yeah.
What is his name? It is Stephen Lang. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's great. Okay, Stephen Lang, and then who? Okay, who?
I mean, Eddie Murphy still plays the donkey.
Yeah, I think
sure.
I think that's fine. Especially in the future. Okay, I think that's enough of casting. So, okay, the complication in the movie, just to make sure it's a movie, is like we have to get this jerk who's like he's bringing out some kind of thing like Bezosing, something that kills the myths. It's putting everything down, right?
I think it's like, for the sake of simplicity, it's like a new Kindle, and their stories are like nowhere to be found on it, or something of that nature.
Yeah,
you know,
Mm-hmm.
some new technology product, make it super simple. Or maybe it's like a new phone that all the kids, like, you don't even have to read anymore. This will read to you, you know? Oh no, we lost Ed. He loved that idea so much he had to go run and copyright it real fast.
Dude, yeah. I'm back. I'm back from the copyright office.
I'm back from the future.
Dude, but no, I think that's pretty tight, man. I think we got a nice way to canonize magic like Ron wants to do. Have a character like me who thinks that it's regressive, and have somebody embracing their inner magic. I think that is the whole point of Shrek. Embrace your inner magic, embrace who you are. That is special, and that holds power.
And we're also telling the importance of stories. Like, and
Right.
creativity. That's a wonderful thing. So we
Yeah, and like in a very like obtuse way, it's like,
Yeah.
what is your legacy? You know, I think that's what
Yeah.
bothers the shoemaker is like, why was I not considered good enough to be a part of your, you know, your story world?
Yeah,
You
you don't
know?
even remember my name. You don't. You say the
I'm just
what's my name?
shoemaker.
What's my
Yeah.
name? He's going to the like what is my name?
He's like,
Going up
I
to
don't
all the
even have a
notes.
name. You know, I was just shoemaker.
Well,
That's
then it'll be
Uh,
about identity too. So like, yeah, we're hitting all the hot button issues, baby.
Wow, this is pretty deep for a Shrek movie. Now, granted, I never saw Shreks 2 through 4, so I don't know if they ever hit upon these
I mean,
themes of identity. But
in my opinion, Shrek is always trying to say a little bit of something, like, you know, that that it isn't about who's attractive in the traditional sense. It's about who's attractive to you, to what you believe in, to what feels good to you. You know, I mean, that's the story. The first one is she turns into a troll, and the reason she turns into a troll is because they love each other and they're attractive to each other, and that's just how it works in that situation. So it's just like, that's fine. That's
it's like
the story.
Shallow Hal for kids.
Yeah, it really is. That's hilarious.
Funny
It
as
really
hell.
is.
That's funny as hell.
Gentlemen,
Yeah, what matters
we
is
have,
your insides, not your outsides. That's it.
we have we have 15 seconds left on the clock. I was just wondering if we should just sing All Star for the next 15 seconds really slowly. Hey now, All Star, get your game on, go play. And we're done. That's enough of that. Okay,
Perfect.
so let's see if we can figure this out. The year somewhere in the future. We have a farmer, Farmer Shrek. He's a big guy, but he's completely human. He has no memory of his life as an ogre in any sort of fantasy world. He has a lot of livestock, including a donkey, and he has a wife, Fiona. But to him, life is a very simple life. Meanwhile, a technology CEO, Mr. Schumacher, is taking over the world, a la Steve Jobs, getting technology in the hands of men, women, and children all over the world, erasing some of our stories that we've passed down from generation to generation. They're not being passed down in this generation. One night, while Shrek is out in his barn, he's had a couple of drinks and he thinks he hears a single word come out of his donkey, but he kind of brushes it off, not thinking too much about it, until a ravaged, half-eaten gingerbread man and Puss in Boots come through a temporal vortex, warning him that their stories are no longer being told. Thus, they are the last of their kind. We look and we see Puss in Boots before our very eyes turns into a regular big old house cat and eats the gingerbread man with this dire warning. It is now up to Shrek to figure out how to get these stories told. He starts to have memories talking with his wife Fiona. They start to remember. This enables him to hear Donkey speaking to him. They go try to round up all of their old storybook friends who are now leading normal-ish lives in our kind of real world, including his neighbor, who he can't remember who she is, but she's kind of a pistol. She is. This leads us to our big third act, or actually, I should say, our second act climax, where we realize Schumacher is actually the shoemaker from the story, The Shoemaker and the Elves, which no one ever really remembered. No one clumped together in a lot of those fairy tales. And he wanted to rid the world of all fairy tales as punishment for being forgotten to time. This leads to a huge third act battle where Shoemaker now has created a giant robot, but Shrek remembers that his neighbor was actually the dragon that he befriends at the end of the very first Shrek movie. There's a big battle. Shrek prevails, but instead of defeating Shoemaker, he wants to work with Shoemaker. He wants Shoemaker's story to be told. He wants all of their stories to be told, and using Shoemaker's technology, they now have a way to get those stories into the hands of every man, woman, and child on the planet, thus saving the magic for future generations. Guys, we rebooted Shrek in a really interesting way. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah.
Dude, I think the genius of these shows is just like we're forced to into these different situations. We're forced to show a lot of creativity because it isn't just our presuppositions about anything. We're actually forced to like improvise. So I think that's the power of these shows, and I think this is an exemplary episode.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
Ron,
episodes because
yeah, you gave us so many good ideas today that ended up, I think, creating a great pitch.
well, that's one of my favorite things here is that sometimes you guys are now forced to listen to my ideas even when they're stupid.
Well, Ron, I mean,
Today was fun, though.
just by the theory of relativity, we had to listen to you because Ed and I have not really seen any of the Shrek movies. So you were the de facto expert, which doesn't happen too often. But when it does, baby, you come in the clutch. Right off the bench to hit a home run walk-off. Ron Swallow, ladies and gentlemen.
It was so fun. You guys are the
Shrek
best. I
expert.
love doing this show.
I love doing this show too.
Yeah,
I hope you
the show's
guys love watching this show. Thank you so much. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. There's a subscribe button somewhere in here. Find it, hit it, do all the things. That is Shrek historian Ron Swallow. That
It's real life Shrek, Ed Greer.
I'm done. I'm Billy Business, and I'm done. This episode is over.